Hello guys, welcome to Hankins Custom Rifles, another episode of Hanks TV. Today's August the 4th, 2018. Today is my 50th birthday. We're down here at the range test firing this rifle. And what we've got here today is a centerfire gun. I know most of you guys know me now for my muzzle loaders, but I started out building centerfire rifles probably a good 20 years ago. And well, now I think about it, it's almost 30 years ago I started building centerfire rifles. So I've been building rifles for over 30 years. I went full-time rifle builder three and a half years ago, so that's all I do now, fellas, is build rifles. I build them day in and day out, work 6-7 days a week in my shop building these guns for you guys, and I enjoy what I'm doing. But what we've got now today is a centerfire gun, which you don't see me do very many of anymore here lately, because my muzzle loaders have taken over my business. When I come out with the ignition system and all that stuff, it has just gone absolutely skyrocketed to where 80% of all my work is muzzle loader stuff. But today we have something that's a little bit different. This is a 6mm-06 Ackley Improved. First time I've ever built one. Customer wanted me to build him a 6mm-06 Ackley Improved. His friends have them, and he shoots with 2 or 3 guys, and they go out shooting prairie dogs and groundhogs and stuff, and they wanted something that was just super fast. They don't care about burning up the barrels if it lasts 800 or 1,000 shots. They don't care. They'll put a new barrel on it and shoot some more groundhogs. But they live down in Virginia, so they've got some big groundhogs down there, and them guys down there really like shooting the groundhogs. And if you've got a bunch of them to shoot, I'd say it would be a good time to do it. So, getting back to the gun, the rifle's pretty much just a standard rifle. It's a lightweight, something they can pack around in the truck, get back in the woods, go walking across fields and what have you. It's a Boyd's laminated wood stock. I believe this was their Prairie Hunter. Got a Monte Carlo cheek piece on it. It's a camouflage pattern. Can't remember what they call this, but it's camouflaged. The action's just a standard Remington 700 long action. It's been blueprinted. Our barrel is a Brooks barrel. No, this is a Bartline barrel. It's a 1-in-9 twist, and I believe it's a number 5 contour. The scope we've got mounted on this gun is just my slave scope. It's my Night Force NXS. It's an 8-32. We're just going to use it to test fire a little bit today. And the ammunition that we're testing is nothing special. The customer loaded it for me, and what we've got here is 25-06 brass. It's been necked down to 6mm. The brass is Winchester's, the primer's Winchester. The powder is Hodgdon's 4831, 55.5 grains. And we're shooting a cheap bullet. This is just an old cheap Remington 80 grain hollow point bullet. They have seated it to the cantilure, and it just says to fireform 6mm-06 cases. So we're going to use those to fireform and see what we can do with it as far as shooting groups. They might shoot groups this big. We don't know what we're going to get out of them. It's nothing. We're not really testing the gun for accuracy. We hope it will shoot good today. But what we're going to do is just fireform a few of these cases. I'm going to check the velocity on a couple of them and see what kind of velocity readings we get. And once we fireform this out to the 6mm Ackley Improved, we'll have room for about 3 or 4 more grains of powder in there, so when he loads his 80 grain ballistic tip, he should be able to get a lot of extra feet per second out of it. Should be up around 4,000 feet per second. So let's go ahead and shoot this a couple times. I've got it bore sighted, so let's see where we're at on the target down there. I might have to make a scope adjustment or two. I've got two targets down there. I'm going to shoot one shot right in the middle of those two targets just to see where I hit the paper. Okay, I can see my bullet hole. So now I'm going to make an adjustment here. Okay, that should be getting us pretty close to the bullseye. Now, if you look at those two shells, you can see the difference between what it looked like when I put it in and what it looks like after we fireformed it. That blows out the case walls, gives it a lot more room for some extra gunpowder, moves that shoulder farther forward, and makes it a 40-degree shoulder here. So once it's been fireformed, the advantage to this is the cases will not stretch nearly as bad as they will with this shoulder angle that they've got here. So let's shoot another one and see where we're at on the paper. And now I'm going to shoot at the very top target. Okay, 4 shots, the barrel's warmed up, so we're going to let the barrel cool down and take a break, and we'll get back to you guys here in just a minute. Okay guys, we're back. I made a scope adjustment. I put the magneto speed on the end of the barrel. We're going to see what kind of velocity we are getting out of these hand loads, and it may not be super fast. I don't know what 55.5 grains of 48-31 should be pushing an 80 grain bullet. But our first group down there is really exceptional. It's about 3/4 of an inch with this ammunition that the customer sent me. So we're going to shoot a couple through the magneto speed, see what kind of groups we can get, and what kind of velocity we're averaging. So let's shoot another 3-shot group with the magneto speed on the barrel. Okay, we got a shot error. So our magneto speed did not pick up the shot. So I'm going to make an adjustment to the magneto speed. As soon as I get that done, I'll get back with you guys. I've probably got too much gap between the sensors and the bullet. So I'm going to take one spacer out, shorten it up a little bit. I'll get right back with you as soon as that's done. Okay guys, I made an adjustment to the magneto speed. Let's hope that that will help us. We're going to fire another shot. See what we can get here. And we got a velocity reading. It's 33.55. So these are definitely not very hot loads. Yeah, there's plenty of room in there for more powder. I can hear it shaking around. Let's shoot one more for that 3-shot group. That one was 33.72. Let's shoot one more for a velocity reading, and I'll go ahead and shoot it in that same group. .33.44. So velocity's jumping around a little bit. We went from a 72 at a high to a 44 to low. But what we're doing, our main goal is just fire forming this brass, checking the accuracy, see what we can expect out of this gun. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be a really good shooter when they work up some good loads, because we've got some groups down there now that's already pretty impressive. I'm going to take the magneto speed off now, guys. 3 shots is enough to give us some kind of velocity ideas. We're not even nowhere near the max that this gun's going to shoot at once it's been reloaded with the 80 grain ballistic tips at the upwards to the maximum velocity. We're going to be able to get 3,800 feet per second and then some out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get up to 4,000 feet per second out of it. So we're going to let the barrel cool off a few minutes, put the magneto speed up, and we'll shoot a few more shots for a group, and we're probably much going to call it a day. It's getting pretty warm down here, and we're going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon. Okay guys, we are back. I took the magneto speed off. Now we're just going to shoot a couple more groups just to see how this gun is going to shoot, but I can tell you now it's going to shoot pretty daggone good. Shooting these light power hand loads right out of the box here. I did make another adjustment to the scope, so we should be getting pretty close to our bullseye where we want to hit. I'm going to shoot this group at the bottom target. Got quite a bit of mirage starting to go on down there. Now that shot right there, fellas, I pulled it. I felt it pulled before I squeezed the trigger. I saw the crosshairs roll over. And to be honest with you, I don't have a good setup for shooting this type of stock today. My sandbag in the front's not right. I did not take my front studs out because there's a nut on the back side and I can't get it out without taking the barreled action apart out of the stock. I didn't want to do that. So I'm just making do with what we've got today. But I don't have a real steady rest. I can see my heart beating in the scope. So that tells me right there it's going to be hard to shoot anything less than a ½ inch. If you can see your heart beating in the scope, you just don't have a good steady setup here. We're going to shoot, let's shoot one more group, and we'll call this at 100 yards done. I'm going to change my point of aim. We're going to move up and shoot the little target in the right hand corner of the bottom target. Okay guys, that's not too bad for fire forming this brass today. I do believe the customer is going to be extremely happy with this rifle. Once again, I'll show you what the brass looks like next to a case that's been fired and one that has not been fired. Once you Ackley improve these cases, it will give you a lot of extra gunpowder room and a lot of extra case life. You'll be able to hand load these several extra times, as long as you don't bump the shoulders back. All you want to do when you load these is size the neck and load them. You'll bump your shoulders back when you're feeling that your bolt's starting to get hard to lift, or if it's hard to close. And then you're only going to want to bump them back 1,000th or 2. You just want to keep that cartridge as close to the inside chamber dimensions as possible and still make it to where you can open and close your bolt. A lot of you guys understand that. A lot of you guys may not understand it. If you don't, there's plenty of information out there, plenty of literature you can read up on Ackley Improved cartridge cases, how they work, the benefits of them, what they'll do for you in the field. And if you're not a hand loader, there's no sense in going with an Ackley Improved because you have to hand load the cartridge. So we're going to walk down, take a look at the target real quick, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get down range. Okay guys, we're down here at 100 yards. Show you what this 6mm-06 Ackley Improved did on the fireforming the cases with the 80 grain hollow point Remington bullet. Very first shot went right here, if you can see that, and I was aiming right here. So I made a scope adjustment, I made another group shot, and my first 3-shot group was right here. And you can see that that is a ½ inch, maybe a little tighter than a ½ inch, maybe. But we're going to call that a ½ inch MOA for what we're doing today. That's close enough. Then I gave the barrel a few minutes to cool down. I shot 4 more shots right here with a magneto speed on it, and that's the ones we got the velocity on in the very first shot did not give us a reading. So we've got 4 here with the magneto speed on the end of the barrel. We moved down here and shot a 3-shot group. I had 2 going really good, and I told you that last shot I pulled it. I saw the crosshairs move right at the same time the trigger broke, and I got my 3rd shot clear out here, and that's what happens when you're not set up in a good stable rest. And I was not in a good rest, I'll be honest with you. I didn't have the right equipment for shooting this gun. I usually shoot guns with much bigger stocks, flatter forearms. So that's what I had with me today, and it just didn't work out very well for this particular rifle stock. The last group I shot, I moved up over here and I shot at this little target. I've got one here, and one here. So we've got about 1.5 inch group with the last group we shot. The barrel was getting hot. It's probably getting a little bit dirty and fouled, needs to be cleaned out before we shoot it anymore. But this right here, this very first group, that right there tells me that the capabilities of this gun can be a tack driver with the right ammunition, the right hand loads. Take your time on a nice cool day and go to the range and shoot it. It's pretty hot here today. It's up into at least up into the 80s. And that's not the best day to go to the range and shoot rifles, but you got to do what you got to do. And today we had to get these guns fired so I could get them shipped back off to the customer. Here's one more shot of the gun, guys. This is my slave scope, so the scope will come off. It don't ship out with the gun. It's a Bartlein barrel, 1-in-9 twist, stainless steel, Remington 700 action, long, blueprinted, Boyd's stock with a little Monte Carlo cheek piece over here. I think this is what they call their Prairie Hunter. We tried to build this to be a kind of a lightweight gun so a guy could pack it across the fields and shoot these prairie dogs and groundhogs with it. So, thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Till the next time, guys, remember, you can pay more, you can't buy better. If you need a good centerfire rifle, give old Hankins Custom Rifles a call. Until the next time, we'll see you later.